Your company was the first to be certified with NDI cameras, PTZ cameras that we could sell. You've kept improving with every version of NDI that's out there and going on that. And Paul, tell me a little bit about why NDI is so important, for not just you, but for PTZOptics and for the industry.
Well, Gary, I think I finally threw out my last box of SDI cables, and it felt really good because they're heavy and, they're really not necessary in this day and age anymore. It's a game changer, not just for cameras, but for any type of video, sending it over the network. You remember the early days, Gary. It worked. Was it perfect? Did it fit every scenario? Not necessarily, but here we are 5-6 years later from the launch, and it's really come full circle, and we're covering such a wide basis of user use cases, and the adoption levels have really grown to a point where this is a mature product that you can rely on.
Very cool. Now, we'd be remiss if we were talking about NDI and PTZOptics without talking about the latest technology in NDI, which is HX3. Now, you're going to talk about some new products that are coming out that are going to support HX3, but I want to talk a little about HX3 because one of the things that happened over the last, I'm going to say, year or so, we had the epidemic and adoption was going crazy on everything, but a lot of companies came out with NDI-ish products. They did some NDI stuff and they call themselves NDI, but they weren't really doing NDI at the level that you or I, when we talk about NDI, assume and we go to. So one of the things that happened was New Tech VizRT kind of raised the standard and came out with a new version of NDI called HX3 that's really putting the bar back on what it really means to work. It's lower latency. It's really closing the gap between full NDI. And I'm just really excited that you guys are going to have it. So why don't you talk a little bit about HX3 and how important that is for the industry?
Yeah, so NDI is really evolving, and NDI HX3 sets a new standard for a couple different things, but one of them is just quality, right? Pure video quality is better with HX3. The latency is lower, and we have the ability to sync up multiple video feeds in a way that is really professional, so that if you've got more than one camera, 2, 3, 4 cameras, they're all going to be in sync and frame accurate to a level that even the highest end productions are now adopting and saying this is a replacement for traditional SDI and HDMI technology.
Cool. So you've got the little thing over there, the Move 4K. We're going to talk about the Move 4K. That is your new generation of 4K NDI everything cameras that are loaded with some cool new technologies. But before we get into that, you gave us a little video that we're going to play for you. So let's play that video, guys. So now, Paul, start talking about this wonderful product. That before you tell us about all the great features, let's talk about what I think is the most important one, and that's the jack panel on the back, baby. Tell us about how cool that is.
Yeah, so we've taken our USB models, our SDI models, our NDI models, and brought them all into one product. So that makes it easier for customers to figure out which camera they need. It provides flexibility. We have 4K 60 at 60 frames a second capability with NDI. We've got USB. We have SDI and HDMI. Now, SDI is the only one that is still 3G, so that is 1080p 60. But we're covering all of our bases. If you want to do plug-and-play video conferences with Zoom, you've got your USB. If you want to plug in traditional hardware and do long cable runs, you've got your SDI. If you're using HDMI for image magnification, low latency video display, and maybe a projector, you've got your HDMI. And then, of course, you have a single cable connectivity with power over Ethernet for NDI, for camera control and video.
And let's talk about this, because not only is this coming out with all these great features where it's one camera with all different connectors and NDI, you've got 12x, 20x, 30x, 20x for under $2,000. Now, a 20x 4K camera for under $2,000. Did I say that loud enough? An NDI, SDI, HDMI, 4K camera, 20x for under $2,000. That puppy's going to be shipping sometime a couple of weeks, correct? When do we think we're going to have our first units of those available?
Yeah, we're going to be getting them to our distributors in the middle of December. So we're hoping that customers will be receiving them the end of December or the beginning of January is when probably customers will be receiving them.
Now, Paul, let's play Steve Jobs' Apple, but there's one more thing, right? And it's a pretty darn big thing. So why don't you take away the secret sauce that's going to be in every one of these Move 4K cameras? Drum roll, please.
Here we go, guys. Every single PTZOptics Move camera is going to support auto tracking, and I'd like to just do a live demo, do my Steve Jobs moment.
Give us a few seconds to take you on full screen. Bring them on full screen for this. Take it away, Paul.
All right. So switch to, I got one of my cameras here set up for auto tracking. Now, one of the things I want to show you guys right off the bat is directly on the remote control here. We can turn on auto tracking. We also have the ability to do auto framing, and one of the biggest features that everyone was asking for was the ability, I'm going to have somebody come in here in a second to show this off, the ability to have it only track the person that you want and no one else can mess it up. So Kyle, why don't you come on over here? And what I want to show you, Gary, is we have the ability to switch between people.
No.
So you see that, that box there going around us? So let's go ahead and we'll put that box on Kyle. Go ahead and Kyle, you can go ahead and walk around. It's not going to be confused with me because we have told it to now track my coworker here, Kyle.
That is one sexy demonstration.
Awesome, yes, it is, and it works flawlessly. So we're going to go ahead and switch back to me here, and boom. Now it's going to track me. It's not going to be worried about Kyle at all. This is one of the biggest problems with auto tracking that we've solved with the PTZOptics Move 4K cameras. They also are going to have a lot more features that we're building in, but that's all I can show you today,
Paul,
Gary.
let's talk about this a little bit because you don't have a computer running software that's auto tracking. You don't have a firmware that had to be downloaded. You don't have this happening from a cloud-based application. This is actually a chipset that's tapping into AI technology that's in every one of these cameras, correct?
That's right. We have a chip specifically designed for computer vision, which we plan to announce throughout the year of 2023, new applications for AI technology, meaning in healthcare, we're talking about pill counting. In industrial manufacturing, we're talking about object recognition, quality control. In almost every industry, we're going to have specialized applications for AI built into these cameras.
Paul, those are all three of the Move cameras in front of you, correct?
That is correct. We have a 12X, a 20X, and you'll notice one of these is a little bigger. This is our 30X.
A little bit bigger, yeah. Big puppy. I guess when you're trying to do 30X 4K from that long a throw, you need some serious optics in that baby, huh?
This is going to be a significant improvement in our top-selling camera, which is our 30X model. Most of our customers want to be able to zoom in. And let's talk about zoom for a second here, Gary. A 1080p 30X camera can zoom in from 75 feet away and capture a head and shoulders shot. A 4K camera can do the same. But if you're using a 1080p video output on a 4K camera, you can double that magnification, and you can do 60x optical zoom in 1080, and you can quadruple that if you're only using 720 in a Zoom call.
That's real impressive, Paul. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was you keep improving your software too. So I've got your GUI up here. Talk about that a little bit and what's going to be new in that.
So this is the new web UI for the PTZOptics cameras, and we've listened to our customers and everything they want, especially the ability to switch SDI from level A to level B so that we support every Blackmagic video switcher. We have the ability to quickly update the firmware, and it even has the ability to ping our servers to let you know if you're running the latest firmware. It's got so much stuff here, I could talk to you about it for hours, but this has been, our engineers' pride and joy here. Everything everyone's asked us for is in there.
Well, I will beg to differ because I don't think this is your engineers' only pride and joy. I think there's another product we need to talk about that I know you guys are really excited about because we know that a lot of people during the pandemic, we all had to get on video. And we're doing Zoom or Teams or just influencers doing video, and people were using the cameras on their laptops. It was bleh. And people got some nice webcams like your HuddleCam that I use in my office every day, and it's a lot noticeable improvement. And people say, wow. But then a lot of people in our industry who are video people are like, but I want this to look like it's from a camcorder or a DSLR. I want that better imagery. I want the depth of field. I want some of that stuff that makes it look professional. You guys have answered that call too. Talk about the Studio Pro for $699.
Very excited about this camera, actually designed for Shopify, for e-commerce in many cases, but also obviously web conferencing. This camera supports NDI HX. It certainly has HDMI. We have USB plug and play, and it comes with a light. So this is an all-in-one content creator's dream, especially good for corporate executives and those folks who are saying, hey, I want to look good on camera. I'll spend a little bit extra because I'm sick of my webcam, and it's got a 12x optical zoom. So I want to do you one more little demo for you, Gary.
One second. Can you put your hand next to that? Because it's hard to tell just how big this is or isn't. It's not big, it's not tiny, but it's about the size of your hand, right? Like a real mini camcorder. But it's pretty cool. You've got some mounting brackets on it so I can mount it easily, right, on a tripod or on a stand. And you've got the light. So that was cool. I wanted to get that size for the audience. Now you can take it away and talk a little bit more about, the features you want to go into.
Well, I'd like to just show the 12x optical zoom really quickly. So I'm going to stand over here, because some people, if they've got a home office, it's nice to have the camera right in front of you. But from time to time, if you want to show something in a little bit more detail, a lot of these cameras are used for courtroom spaces. So you can see that's got the 12x optical zoom, and sometimes just a little bit of optical zoom, getting away from your desk, getting in front of something is what can give you that beautiful bokeh effect that many of our customers have been asking for.
And I think this camera, the key word here I think is studio, because we talk about streaming, NDI, but to me, this is the camera that if you're an influencer, if you're a YouTube influencer, if you're a TikTok player or whatever you call these things that people do, or Instagram, this is a way to give your video a look that's just going to look more professional. And the funny thing about it is, I know there are people who put apps on their iPhone and can really do some spectacular stuff on it, but you really got to know what you're doing. You got to be like a pro photographer to understand that tool set. With this, you don't. You can set it up and very quickly have it look with some real gorgeous video. With the light, you're going to get a much better look to it. And I think anyone who's doing what I'm going to call individual type streaming, where it's me streaming to people, be it influencer or live streaming, this camera at $699 is a fantastic go-to device. Talk about the connectivity on the camera before we go on to some other stuff.
Yeah, so let's show up really quickly. I'm going to turn this camera around and see if they can show the back of it here. Basically, what we've got here is plug-and-play connectivity, whether you're using USB, which we're seeing a lot of customers use USB. And by the way, when you plug it in via USB-C, it will power any USB device that you want. So right now we're using it to power a light, but you could power all kinds of devices, including you might want to have like a Rode microphone. Yeah. So you can accessorize this to your heart's desire. We've got quarter 20s, multiple quarter 20s on the side and the top. We've got power over Ethernet, because right now it's NDI November, right? We're using all NDI right now. And then, something I forgot, we got the HDMI. We also have the ability, there's a switch here to switch between 9:16 and 16:9. So we can do vertical video and we can do portrait video. And that's important because a lot of people are starting to stream and produce content in 9:16.
Believe me, I get it. I get that they're doing it. I get the kids are watching everything on their phone nowadays, and that's what it is. And I'm not going to argue against it, but to me, there's still something wrong with video that's, vertical, not horizontal. But who am I to argue? That's what people want. That's what they get. So your camera is going to give them both. It's going to give them NDI. It's going to give them USB. It's going to give them HDMI. Super cool camera. I want to go to another product you guys have, because this product I have been in love with since the day I got it, and I'm still trying to figure out what to do with half of the buttons. But let's talk about the Superjoy. For under $1,000, $899, this is the PTZ controller that to me is the must-have NDI PTZ controller for people on a budget who still need top-level performance. Talk about Superjoy.
Well, the Superjoy, first of all, has NDI connectivity. That means it will work with any camera that is conforming to the NDI pan-tilt-zoom protocol. So if you've got an NDI camera, it's going to work. Right out of the box, it is power over Ethernet, so really easy to plug and play. It has an HDMI video output, which was a big feature request for pro users. because you've got a camera operator. Maybe they're secondary to the video production, and they could be anywhere now. Anywhere on your network, you plug this in, you give them an HDMI monitor, they can see exactly the camera that they're controlling in low latency and get a bunch of control. Now, the thing that makes this joystick special is the custom buttons that are designed on this. They can do almost anything, but I'll give you a really good example. We call it the super preset. And what it can do is click one button and control up to, I believe, 7 or 8 cameras at the same time. Why would you want to do that? Well, let's say you're a house of worship and volunteers are coming in, controlling a bunch of cameras, and then leaving. Well, how do they leave them? Well, you click one button, they all get set back to normal, right? If you're in a theater or a production environment, you've got 2 or 3 different scenes. You click one button and you've now moved 4 cameras to a different scene. And you can also include things like TriCaster, vMix, OBS, and other software that can take HTTP commands. You can actually send additional commands out of this joystick to do scene switches, start and stop recording, and a bunch of other really cool features.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples of all the cameras on the same preset is if you've got a church that's got a choir that's a real active choir where they're not just singing, they're jumping around, having some fun. You can have, when they get going, you get some presets where 3 or 4 go on them, one goes on the preacher, and now you just cut away, and your camera angles are all set till that song is over. And I think that it's just a really fun way to produce a show that really those camera angles get everyone more involved. You know it, and I know it. We're talking heads here today because that's the format that we are, but you're far more engaging when you have multiple camera angles on whatever you're doing. Like we just cut to this camera now. So good job, guys. Good way to explain that. And let's see, the next thing we're going to talk about is, let's talk about, and I didn't want to put down webcams, but I kind of knocked them a little bit, but you have an NDI webcam. It's a little bit different. That's the HuddleCam Pro. Talk about that, because that does some stuff that is beyond a webcam.
That's right. This is our HuddleCam HD Pro, and it has NDI capability, pan, tilt, zoom. It's a 4K webcam, but it also includes electronic pan, tilt, zoom. So it operates like a PTZ camera with no moving parts. And we've seen these being deployed in all kinds of different scenarios where you want to have an affordable way to add a second camera that doesn't need the power of optical zoom, right? That's where the cost comes in on the Studio Pro, for example. But you can get a little bit of wide angle. So this actually, I'm pretty sure this is the widest angle NDI camera available on the market. It's a 108-degree wide field of view. And so you can get a really wide angle. If you can get it close, all you got to do is run one Ethernet to it. And it operates with the exact same PTZOptics pan, tilt, zoom protocol controls. So you can use it with a Superjoy. You can use it with your TriCaster. You can use it with Wirecast, pan, tilt, zoom controls. So it's built just like a PTZ camera with a fixed 4K lens and a really affordable $299 match
And
price.
I think one of the things we should mention about that is if I'm putting it in a conference room or a corporate setting, I can have 4 or 5 presets that are HD presets, and I can just cut to different people in the room, boom, 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 very easily. And it looks like you have multiple cameras or multiple camera angles in the room. So it's so easy that a CEO or a company president can use it, but it's pretty powerful type stuff. And I also find it's also kind of good at, once again, if you're that influencer type person where maybe you're showing off products and stuff like that. So when you want to have that close-up of your product, you take that HD close-up and you pop it right in. So that's another cool product. Now I want to switch. We're jumping all over the place, Paul, but me and you, we're good at this. We've done these shows before. Let's talk about your new software, the CMP software, because this is, I always use Spinal Tap. It's one of my favorite movies. This is really where you guys are taking your PTZOptics cameras from 9 and 10 to 11. So talk about CMP a little bit.
Yeah, this is the PTZOptics CMP. It's 100% free. If you're a customer, you can download it today at ptzoptics.com/CMP. It is still in beta. They're working out a couple kinks. It's supposed to be released this month, actually. First of all, it adds auto tracking capabilities to every single PTZOptics camera. And that goes for the Gen 2s. It goes for the new gens, the moves. And even with the move cameras that have built-in auto tracking, the CMP adds some really cool effects because you can draw a box around how much space exactly that you want left or right of your subject which comes in handy in certain higher end
Yep.
scenarios. You can track an entire body, you can track just face. So it's got the auto tracking, but one of the big things that we're solving is color correction and color matching. So what this will do is it will take all of your PTZOptics cameras in. It's got an auto searching button. It'll automatically find all your PTZOptics cameras, load them right in, and you can actually put up to 4 of them right next to each other. So you can have 4 of them next to each other. It has a color dropper, so you could put the color of my shirt and drop it on each camera and see what the differences are from green, red, and blue. So it's an RGB dropper there that will go right on there. They're showing a really cool video of it. It really was designed by our customers based on our customers' feedback. And the color correction tools, once you get one of them correct, you can download your favorite looking camera and immediately upload them to as many more as you want to get the perfect color matching. And it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It runs in a brand new type of technology that I forget what they even call it, but it's super fast and reliable. And it also has, I could go on and on about this thing. It has, if you're a computer programmer, which a lot of our customers like to program the cameras because they're open source, it gives you a complete HTTP command system where you can see what the command sent and see what their responses are. And you're seeing there some of the latest stuff where they can actually track an entire skeleton. I mean, there's some really interesting stuff with this thing. It's evolving quickly. And Gary, you know who programmed the entire product?
Let me guess. Someone's daughter.
Andrew Cross's daughter, Sarah, has been an amazing, invaluable team member. You probably met her at our PTZOptics booth at NAB, where we first started showing this software off. She's absolutely incredible, is leading the team on the CMP project, and she's done just an amazing job.
I just that's a little name drop for those who are new to NDI. The godfather, the inventor of NDI was Dr. Andrew Cross back in his days at NewTek, and his daughter happens to work for the folks at PTZOptics. So that's going to work great. And I'm sure anytime she got stumped, I can only imagine who she called to help her out of some tough stuff. But I love that you guys are moving in 2 directions at the same time with NDI. You're moving clearly in the hardware direction, better and better hardware, smarter hardware that's easier, more universal. I love that you got all the jacks in the Move 4Ks, but the software improvements are really incredible also. And you're also putting AI in the camera. So let's say you're taking 3 giant steps forward. I just think that people need to understand that PTZOptics has been a pioneer in this industry from when NDI began. And you've really been a supporter of NDI, but also a supporter of taking PTZ cameras and making them affordable, but also feature-rich, reliable, stable, and beautiful with the imagery. So great job, Paul, on that. I want to thank you for being on the show. This is really great. It looks like we have a winner because not only does everyone get Paul's book on NDI electronically, we raffled off a HuddleCam Pro IP, and it looks like Stephen K. from Pennsylvania won it. So Stephen K., give us a call or an email, and we'll get you your copy of that. So that's fantastic. I want to thank you, Paul, for being on the show. Before we get to the wrap-up, I always like to do a wrap-up whenever I have a guest on my show, and that is the floor. Oh, wait, we have a last-minute question, and it's a great question.
Oh.
What do you think it's about? 3 letters that aren't NDI. You got it. Do you guys have any cameras that support SRT?
All of our cameras support SRT. They have built-in SRT. We've that Gen 2 cameras. If you've got one of the older ones, there's a firmware update for you. And of course, all the Move cameras will support SRT in listening and caller mode.
Awesome. And SRT, once again, we did a whole big first show on the NDI. We talked a lot about SRT and NDI. They're not competing technologies. They're technologies that complement each other, that integrate together for different workflows. So it's great that you guys have that. But the real cool thing about an SRT camera means if I plug that into my network, I don't need anything else to put that camera on a show that I can be producing anywhere in the world. And that's really cool and fantastic. So I want to thank you for being on the show. But I always give people, my guests, a couple minutes on a wrap up. The floor is yours, Paul. Talk about something. Go.
Well, we're actually going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I'm really excited to be there because, as you can see, Gary, a lot of these products are hitting, really important price points, and I think that content creators and prosumers are really leading the way in some really interesting areas like live commerce and live streaming. So excited to be at CES in January. We're going to be launching some new products there, I hope. We'll see. But, if the Move 4K wasn't enough, we've got more surprises for you in the pipeline, Gary. And on the AI front, expect a lot in 2023.
Cool. So you think I should put CES on my calendar maybe? I got to think that maybe that's something I got to be doing this January. Haven't been there in a while.
Well, I think events are back. If we see a growing market here for prosumers in the live streaming space, and if you're going to go to CES and fly out to Las Vegas to see the latest stuff, I think that you're going to be excited to see what's out there. There's a whole audio video section that we'll be in. We're bringing the big booth because we think it's a big opportunity. So I'd love to see you there,
Paul.
Gary.
Thanks for being on the show. I'm going to wrap up NDI November a little bit. If we can bring this up full screen, I want to remind everyone that all the webinars you see that were previous to today's date, you can now see on our YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn channels. Also, this week, we have some important shows coming on. We have a System Integrator Spotlight with Keycode Media. We have New Blue Title Live. We have Telestream. Next week, we're going to be introducing Killaview. And then we have some more NDI stuff on the 22nd. And we'll probably take this through all the way through the end of November. So I want to thank everyone who tuned into today's show and remind you also that we're giving giveaways. We've got raffles. We've got a video PTZ cameras. We've got software. We've got Paul's book for everyone who registers. So by all means, everyone, if you haven't registered, register now. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to NDI November. This is Gary for Video Guys in Broadfield. Peace.
NDI November is going on all month long for all things NDI. Your one-time registration gains you access to all the informative webinars with great guests and tons of giveaways. Check out the full schedule and register at ndinovember.com. Giveaway prizes include BirdDog P100, JVC PZ200N camera, Telestream Wirecast Pro license, New Tech University class, and more. See all the giveaway prizes and register now at ndinovember.com.